there, my beautiful, gorgeous beings of light, with Nick and Bean Unscripted. Yeah, baby.
I'm Beanie.
I'm Nick.
We're going to take you on a journey of conversations that include things like purple unicorns, aliens, real life stuff, and anything in between.
We can't wait to see where these conversations take us, because I can guarantee you they're going to get pretty cray-cray.
Well, with you in the room, Nicola, anything can happen.
That is true. Thank you for joining us on our journey. If you have any input that you want to add to this channel, we would love to hear from you. In the meantime, let's get the show on the road. Pew! Welcome, beautiful people, to our podcast for this week. We are super pumped to be here. I just want to, before we introduce our lovely guest, we weren't aware of what we were going to be wearing, and then we both turn up with black tops. This is what happens after 18 years of dating the same person. You literally start merging in. However, I can guarantee you I'm very different. She's very different from me, and we are individuals. On that note, we have the absolute pleasure of Natisha, is that how you say it, right? Natisha Dingle on our show today.
Who is known as
the fastest woman in the world. And we're going to get into that. But I just want to introduce her. She is a 2-time female world champion in speed skydiving.
I was going to do a competition and see what people could, like, not that we're live, but like that people could guess what she's the fastest woman in the world at.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
well, you know, too late for that.
I know.
Moving forward. And she has 13 world record in total, and is about to compete for her trifecta in October in North Carolina, which is incredible. Now, fastest woman in the world. Drum roll. Tell us what you do.
So I jump out of the plane from in between 13 and 14,000 feet GPS height, and then the aim is to dive head first and reach the highest possible speed. So we're putting our body in a streamlined position and getting the right angle and the right pitch and hitting the ultimate run is the goal.
Crazy. How old are you?
36. Yeah, I turned 36 yesterday.
36, mate.
Happy birthday.
Or the 18th. Sorry, maybe 2 days ago.
You do not look 36.
Yeah.
You look young. I reckon jumping out of
You know
planes
what it
is
is?
obviously...
The speed just like...
Actually, go the right way.
That is true, because on Instagram, there's all these things. Actually, we're talking to a friend the other day, and she was just like, if you do this all the time, the lines, and this is what starts to happen when you get to the 45s, 49s, 50s. But anyway, that's a side joke.
You don't need to do face massages.
You're sorted. You're sorted. So tell us, because, the reason why I got Natisha on the show was because I had done a week in Bali freediving. And on the way back, I just had this thought about what happens when we go past ourselves for expansion. We put ourselves in an uncomfortable, challenging situation that expands us and ultimately heals parts of ourselves in that process. Can you relate to that idea? Obviously you've been doing free skydiving for a long time, so it's probably like, when I was thinking the other day, when you go get your vagina waxed, it's just one, it's all one blur, right? Because they'll just
I don't understand.
Well, yeah, it's all the same. It's all the same, is what I'm saying. You don't go, oh my God, she's got a weird vagina.
We're talking about like jumping out of a plane and traveling at 500 kilometers an hour.
I'm talking about
I'm
talking about the normality of jumping out of the plane, because you've done it so much. Natisha understands. Anyway,
over to you. I think it's safer.
I think it's definitely. I definitely fell in love with myself during the process of speed skydiving, because you basically just challenging yourself. And I'm the youngest of 4 kids, and it's probably the only thing I've ever done for myself by myself. So I learned a lot about myself in the process. And I'm an empath, so I didn't have to deal with other people's energies all the time. It was really just focusing on going inward and getting the maximum potential out of myself, which was incredible. And I we'll never get that back. You know what I mean? Like, that was a pivotal moment in my life where my trajectory went forward, which was amazing. And I think it's just really about centering yourself and tapping in to that. So, like, for instance, there's a lot of doubt when you're in competition, and there's a lot of like outside noise. So there's people on competition day, there's always weather issues, someone might beat you, you have competition for the first time, there's all these external forces that are trying to enter your energy field. And I kind of chakra balance myself with my crystals, and like set aside time aside for that in between jumps, and I really center myself and try and block out the outside noise. And what I can do in competition is phenomenal, and I just keep getting better and better. So I think if I could focus that energy into my everyday life, and that's why I think it's so relatable to everybody, if you can block out the outside noise and just focus on yourself and what you want to do and focus all of your energy towards that, then your whole life's going to expand. So
how interesting. I've got a couple of questions. The first question is there a pivotal is there a pivotal time where you had, because I come from a sporting background, and you know, is there one particular time that you can remember that shifted you from A to B, where you were just like new level, like a new level? You like, you saw an inner strength in yourself, or you saw the potential of
so you pass that threshold.
Yeah, past the threshold.
Yeah, well, I even think I did my first skydive when I was 15. So I went to a careers expo, and there was a guy with his stall set up, and he had $25 Wally dollar vouchers, and he was like, if you give me $10,000.
What's a Wally dollar?
Oh, it's just like a voucher. It was like $25 off a tandem. Wally dollars, yeah. And he said, if you give me $10,000, you can be a tandem master. And I went, what a cool job. Yeah, I want to do that. And then because mum taught me how to save, I saved all my money. I worked after school since I was like 12. Don't tell the taxman. And I saved all my money and gave my mum $300 and said, can you please take me to the drop zone? And because she taught me how to save, like if I wanted a bike, she'd pay for half. So because I took her the whole amount, she was like, oh, I have to say yes. So I kind of trapped my mum into taking me at 15. And that was a pivotal moment in my life, because I thought, if I can jump out of a plane, I can do anything I put my mind to. So I think that really set the standard for my life, I guess. So.
And so
I love the fact that you went to a careers expo
at 15.
At 15 for one, but two, imagine the other stalls that were at said expo.
Yeah, there was like
career advice or careers.
And you're like, and then this dodgy stand with like, you want to come skydiving? I'm like, yes.
I know, right? I'll take that one, thanks. I mean, that's fantastic.
My next question then is, how has your life traversed from that? You know, so you started skydiving at 15, and then you know, your mum didn't have a choice to really say, no, you can't do that. You know, how has your life unfolded to now be, you know, able to claim such a, you know, you're in a Guinness World Book of Records. So, you know, there's
I had no idea when I started skydiving that I was going to be a world champion in 20 years. Like, I didn't even know you could compete for the first 10 years. I was just having fun jumping out of the plane with my friends. Then,
for 10 years, you were like that.
Yeah, I didn't even know. I was just like, oh yeah, and I love competing. So I would have loved to compete, but I was just like, yeah, go to the drop zone, have fun, you know. And then I started a 4-way team. So there was like 4 of us and the camera person, and we invested, me and another girl paid for some coaches, and we went to America, and, you know, we invested 70,000 each in training for 4-way, which was a massive investment over 3 years, probably.
How did you save the money? Where did you get the money from?
I actually wrote off my car, and so I accidentally wrote off my car, and I got not no no it wasn't, but I got a $19,000 payout, bought a cheap car, and then spent the rest on skydiving. So no, it was the best life choice. And I also got made redundant at my job, which was another 12,000. So I had like 30 grand in my bank, and I spent all that, and then I actually remortgage my house to get the other 30. So they're probably not the best life decisions, but I don't
So
regret it.
expensive, right? The sport
It's
is
got me to be a world champion. Yeah. Well, we didn't have to go all out, but that's kind of how I am. So
yeah.
But it shows
it's like,
commitment.
yeah. So it's like that's probably been like 8 years in the making to being the world champion. So even though those skills were a different discipline, I learned so much in that time. We had some of the best coaches in Australia. We hired the best coach in America. We were paying him, whatever, 400 US a day to coach us, and we fly him over. And they taught us how to manage my energy levels in competition, how to get your mind to remain calm and still, and like the things that they taught me in competition in those 4 or 5 years that I was working with them put me on the front step for the next journey. So when I went to speed skydiving, I already knew all of the things that were going to happen in competition. So I had a good competition mindset, and all I had to focus on was my job. I was lucky enough. So I spent all that money, and I was like, I don't know, our team fell apart. We had one guy from Canada, he couldn't make it for nationals, and I was heartbroken. And then my friend Shane Turner, he's the 4th fastest man in the world, and he was like, come and do speed. And I was like, nah, I'm not trying something that I've never tried before. Like, I'm just having a year off. And then I was in the pool one day, and I was like, no, I should go do speed. Like, so I think water sometimes connects you to what you should be doing as well.
Yeah.
And it was, I felt drawn to speed. And then my first competition, I was like, I'd only done 10 jumps trying it. I've never done head down. I never did angles. I'd just been on my belly pretty much and a little bit of head up. And I was 30 Ks off the female record. And I was like,
Wow.
oh, wow, I could be good at this. So then I approached one of my old bosses when I was a refrigeration mechanic. He was sponsoring athletes. So I sent him an email and said, look, I'm this off the, and he ended up buying me 100 tickets straight off the bat. So I was so lucky. Like, I've probably done 500 speed skydives, and probably 400 have been paid for with various people sponsoring me. And it's helped a lot. We get a little bit of help from the Australian Parachute Federation as well.
So how does that work? So you have to buy tickets. When you say buy tickets, so each comp is a ticket. Is that what you're saying?
So like for training, I live at the drop zone. So I moved to the drop zone. I live in a little caravan, but it's so I'm definitely dedicated.
Yeah.
But yeah, I might buy 100 tickets for X amount of dollars, and then that's your jump credit. So then you use your card and you manifest, and then it's around, I think it's just gone up again to around $55 a ticket where I jump, or 53. So yeah, it's just for training, and then when you compete, you get 8 jumps allocated to your account, and then
And then because you mentioned just before you were a qualified refrigeration mechanic, how did that even happen? When did you decide to do that?
So I did 6 OP subjects at school, thinking I was going to go to university, but I just know with my lifestyle, like, I'm a procrastinator, and I could do assignments the night before at high school and get A's and B's, but I knew that I wouldn't be able to hold that high standard doing everything the day before at university. And my mum's rule was you had to go to uni or do a trade. So I was like, all right, I'll go get paid to work, or get paid to learn. So I did a trade, and one of my sister's partners, he was a Friggy, and I got work experience, and I did that in the school holidays, and then asked them for an apprenticeship, and then they offered it to me. And I was like, oh, can I think about it? And then they're like, what? And then I was like, 4 years, that's going to be forever. And then it was like 10 years just flew past. And I love being a refrigeration mechanic. I still have probably 10 lifelong friends that I still keep in contact. I'm having dinner with them on Monday. We went to Africa together. Like, I never regret the decisions I made, because I always have fun along the way. And I'm grateful that Mum had that insight, because now I have a career that will always be there, even though I haven't done it for 8 years or 10 years. It's always there if I need it.
It's true.
And you learn a lot. You learn work ethic. You learn, well, basically how to be a slave. You're not getting paid very well, but you you're learning, and a lot of the skills I think aren't transferable unless you do a trade. Like the work ethic that you get from that is phenomenal. So it's sort of set me up for the rest of my life.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and then I got into rope access, which is so much more fun.
Well, it's a bit more up your alley, isn't it? If you're jumping out of planes and doing 500 kilometers an hour, hanging off a skyscraper or a building on the outside is probably going to be more in alignment with you.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. There was a while where I had to remind myself to ground myself because I was on ropes all day and skydiving on the weekends and never putting my feet on the ground. So, and I lived in a high rise, so there wasn't really grass. So yeah, there was a time in my life where I was like, I better consciously connect.
Yeah, and you can really feel it, can't you? Like whenever I'm up high in buildings, it's like I could never, like I say to myself or to whoever's with me, I could never live up there because of that.
Yeah.
Being up that, not just a height thing, but just not grounded thing.
Yeah. So yeah, it took me a while to figure that out, but now I ground myself.
I have a question. Speaking of like grounding and presence and all that stuff. When you said you use your crystals, like you go and center yourself and come into presence and focus within yourself with your crystals. Do you use the same crystals every time? Are they like specific and what crystals are they?
I just have a rose quartz that I balance my main chakras with, and then I've got like it's like goldstone, but it's like a blue version, so it looks kind of like a galaxy. I don't know. I was just kind of drawn to those ones. I do have citrine as well and clear quartz that my mum sort of taught me how to balance chakras with the crystals, and then I was just drawn to these particular crystals. It was so funny. Last competition, I was doing mine, and then everyone's like, even competitors for other countries, like, "What are you doing?" And can I have a go? So I'm like balancing everybody's chakras.
I bet you now that you're the fastest woman in the world, everyone's sitting in the plane with their crystals, just like
And another big thing is power posing. So like if you're sitting down and you hunch over, it's like you feel negative and you feel low. Whereas if you're tired and it's like the last round in the plane, the four-way guys taught me this: you put your hands on the ceiling and like you automatically feel more confident and like energized. So I teach that as well when I coach people. We went for a women's record and we tried 10 times in the weekend and didn't get it. And then it was the last go, it was sunset. I was like, come on, girls, everybody power pose. And then we got it that jump. And I was it's such a cool thing. And then one of the girls she really believed in it. Some people don't. But she was like, oh, I'm going to do it. And she does it in her four-way team every time now. And they love it. And then they think of me every time they do it. And I think, it's awesome to share your skills. I think I always tell everyone everything. If they beat me, I'll try harder, but
so with your journey, because it sounds to me you've tapped into some spirituality along the way. Is that, and it seems like your mum's got a little bit of that, or where does it come from?
Yeah, mum used to take me to like spiritual church when I was like 10 or something, but it was more like Reiki, I would say. So we've kind of been always in it, but there was always kind of a weirdo or something kind of deterred us all the time. So we'd like float in and float out. And then one of my we never were into like religion. I think it's a little bit limiting. It's more about for me anyway, like there's a universal energy and we're all energy and we can tap into that. Anyway, so where was I going with that?
You were just saying
how you got into it. Like your mum took you to spiritual churches, and there's always that one person that takes it too far. Weirds everyone out.
People turning up to your house unannounced or something ridiculous, and you're like, oh, okay, we're going to give it a rest. So it could be now that I do it religiously. Well, as I said, I'm not religious. I have a practice. And you sort of protect your energy and invoke the healing command and all these sorts of things. So a lot of those energies that were probably attracted, like now we're kind of blocking them out, or I am. So I feel a lot more grounded and safe in playing with the energies now. But then one of my teammate, actually, the other girl that was in my four-way team, Mariska, she had a life coach and she was like semi-retired at 36. And I was like, wow, I always struggle with money. I was like, how can I be more like this, or how can my life get better? And she said, I've been getting coaching for 5 years with this lady, Melissa Scott, who has Equinox life coaching. So I signed up with her to be a life coach, and I did the training for a year and a half. And then I decided if I'm going to value it as a profession, I'm going to pay to get coaching. So I got coaching for a year, and it changed my life, helped release a lot of money limitations I think I had. I always was taught you have to work hard for money, blah, blah, blah. And then when you release the limiting beliefs and negative emotions, then people started offering me sponsorship. And, you know, the whole thing about living in alignment, it's like everybody talks about it, and you can say, yeah, far out. When I moved to the drop zone, and I was just vibing because I was like, I'm living my life, I'm loving it. And I went to the physio, and or my podiatrist, he does physio and podiatry, and then he offered to give me $500 in free physio, and then another friend offered to give me money, and another person offered to give me money, and I was just like, wow, 3 people in 1 week asked to sponsor me. And that's what they say, like, if you live in alignment, energy flows. And even I just spent 12 days at a retreat in Bali, just because I'm a massage therapist, so we go and get massages for 4 hours a day and like do yoga and meditation. And I've been home for 1 day, and then a guy I worked with a year ago messages me and says, oh, I really need healing, can we organize a session? And, you know, I've just been thinking for a long time they'll come when they're ready, and they did. And I was like, wow. So it's good validation that when you're aligning with things, it should be easy.
You seem to just go with the flow of things, like whatever presents itself, but then like there's that really good balance of like creating something for yourself, allowing something for yourself, following through, and then just flowing with it. And is that like when you're jumping out of a plane, just to take it back to that for a minute, because you've got all your preparation that you've done, which is amazing, but when you're in that space and your head's down towards the earth and you're traveling at a ridiculous time and space. And I just have to add quickly before I forget, I just had a session, I do kinesiology, and I just had a session with a client, and I said, oh shit, it's like 2:45, I've got to go interview the fastest woman on earth. And I was telling her, she goes, what happens to all the bits? And I said, she has a suit on. I don't think that is a problem because they've got it covered. She goes, I want you to ask her. So I have said that out loud now. So firstly,
some people are like, you should try it naked. And I'm like, no, there's too many bits. Yeah.
Wow, that would be so intense.
That could actually become dangerous. I bet men wouldn't do it. But yeah, like, because we've been into like, well, we've jumped out of planes before. I've done it once only recently, but we've been in like fly zone. What is it? Fly zone?
Yeah, fly zone. I fly.
Yeah. And that our friend was taking us to that, who was a professional skydiver, used to be a professional skydiver. And she was like talking us through it and stuff, but like just that slight movement. And I watched the video of you jumping out of the plane. And I know that, like you said in an interview, like it's your alignment of how you can just move a little bit. And I'm watching your legs, like just a little bit moving. And I can't even imagine what it takes to stay in that, because in that tunnel, fly zone, like you move a bit and you that's it. You're hitting the glass or you're doing whatever.
Yeah.
How hard is it when you're in that space to keep that alignment? Because it's a kind of good life analogy as well.
It takes a lot, I think, because four-way is very like snappy big moves. So I went from doing like aggressive moves to trying to go really fast. And the faster you go, the little movements really. So if your leg goes like that and then you try and counteract it, then it's just going to catch you and you just flip out on your back. So I was like, I couldn't even hold it for like 20 or 30 jumps because I was like just being way too aggressive. So I think it's learning about, you can relate this to life, like when something throws you out, just like acknowledge it and then slide back into it, as opposed to being aggressive, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so, you're almost
it's like, oh, that felt a little bit awkward. Okay, well, I'm just going to get back into alignment and go where it feels nice, because I forget who anyway, someone said, I can't quote them at the moment, but they were saying that the universe never stops being abundant. It's just whether we're in alignment with it. So it doesn't stop. And, you know, when your life starts going haywire and there's like 3 things that happen in a week and 4 things and 5 things and 6 things. And it happened to me last year. My life was cruising and then there was like catastrophe everywhere. And I was like, what's changed? What have I done that's different? I stopped doing my practices. I stopped meditating. I stopped doing all the things. So it's like, if you don't do what you need to do to stay in alignment, then your life will reflect that.
Yeah,
I love that. That's
perfect.
so,
That's very powerful.
that's very powerful. What you
And very challenging when you're not in alignment, because when you hear it when you're not in alignment, it's like, for fuck's sake,
yeah.
you know, it's
Yeah.
like,
But
why?
I've done all the things. I know, it's
That
really
humanness is
frustrating.
like, smart, why make it stop? But when you know the truth of it, I mean, when you know the truth of it, sometimes it's even more painful when you slip out of alignment. But, you know, that, like you said before, energy flows where intention goes, and like it is all there for everyone. And it's beautiful that you bring it into your life with your coaching, but also for yourself, like in a sport that, you know, I mean, it's definitely not masculine, because I only know it through women anyway, like, so I would say it's mixed, very mixed. But
yeah, would you say that it's in field, how
It's
would
mostly males. There's 13% of women make up skydiving. So
yeah,
there's
well,
not that many.
no.
But I do think that all the women that skydive are a certain breed, I guess, and it's not something that you want to get forced into just because your boyfriend's doing it, or they
Yeah.
kind of come and go. But it's something that like calls to your soul, and then you wanted to do it, and then they're all beautiful women. Like I wouldn't want to change it, because I think you find skydiving for a purpose and they're all there for a reason. So whether you're male or female, or some of my friends are 75 that I jump with, and I just think, oh, it's just so beautiful that you can have all of these connections. You can be
That would
16
be
or 75
so
and
amazing.
everyone's there having the best time. You can be a doctor or you can be anything, you know,
I love that.
and
Yes.
everybody's accepted, and it's a very inclusive community. It's like the best thing I've ever done. Yeah.
I think about, and this is just thoughts, and I'd be keen to know them, what you think. But you know, it is an adrenaline based sport. You know, death is fucking right at the doorstep, and I think, you know, like. And it's just like free diving in the same regard, you know, it's right up there. Not that I'm pushing those kind of limits
not as
at
fast,
all.
yeah.
However,
Yeah.
and I reflect on that statement that you just said, that camaraderie is that you all kind of know that you're all participating in this extreme. Would you agree with it, that you're all participating in this extremity that puts you in a vulnerable position, but in a greater perspective of life?
Yeah, I feel like what we get from skydiving. So when you're skydiving, that minute that you're in free fall, or 23 seconds in my instance, there's nothing else that enters your mind. You're completely free. You feel like you can do anything. It's like that experience far exceeds, for me anyway, the risk of dying. But I feel like it's a very calculated sport. So there's lots of things that we can do to make ourselves safe. And a lot of the incidents or accidents that happen could be preventable, or they were lower turns closer to the ground, or there were definitely things that could have been avoided. And they talk about the Swiss cheese scenario. So it's like there's all these holes in the Swiss cheese, and you know, you might be tired and hungry or not thinking about something, and you know, and then when all those things line up, that's when something bad's going to happen. So it's like knowing yourself and knowing when you shouldn't go for a skydive. Like if you're not feeling it today, there's going to be the sky tomorrow. If you have a gut feeling that something bad's going to happen, sit on the fucking ground. Like, sorry, but
No, you're
but
right.
it's
We swear all the time. Don't worry about
This is a safe space.
yeah.
Yeah.
Safe space.
You know, like, and a lot of my friends, it probably makes me more nervous that a lot of my friends base jump, because that's the next level to skydiving. So you only have one parachute. If you open off heading, you might hit a cliff. You might, you know, I've had people that I know that have broken their backs and couldn't walk again. And, you know, like, I just think the risk isn't worth the reward for me for that yet. Not saying that it ever won't be. And I see the enjoyment my friends get from it, but it does make me nervous, because it's just that next level. And I just think about all the people that I've met, and if I was to leave, I would have to say goodbye to everyone. I haven't even met half of them yet, so I'm like, I'm not ready to leave. I want to stay forever.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
that's probably
yeah.
not ideal, but and then I asked my boyfriend, I was like, I want to talk about death. What should I say? And he said, oh, there's no such thing as death. We just change form. And I was like, I'm going to quote that. I was like,
Do you- how do you-
and that's our belief as well.
Yeah.
So that's a perfect
How
answer.
do you feel about death? Like, you know, like, I guess, and I'm going to talk about Deepak Chopra. Yeah. He does a really beautiful thing, and part of my spiritual journey. I was going to say, Albert, I don't know if you've done this, but and I'm pretty sure you have. But you see yourself, you know, dead, you know,
yeah, right.
in your meditation. And Deepak Chopra, he actually consciously dies every night. He sees himself as a dead body, and he's 75.
Like astro traveling.
No, I think he just lies there and visualizes that his body is a corpse.
Oh, why?
Yeah.
What's the purpose?
Because it's about being comfortable with understanding that beyond this body there is more, but also comfortable with death, that you are essentially nothing. Ultimately, we are nothing. We are just molecules of energy that are all made up into matter, and we just our mind can't comprehend that. My mind at least can't, but this is the truth of it all. And so, you know, these kind of actions of initiation to accepting death, I've really, because for me, my past has been that I had many years of panic attacks that I was going to die. So death has been very, very prevalent in that fear. And I think one of the reasons why is because I never got to go to a funeral. I never got to experience anything that was death orientated. It was, and my parents, beautiful to them, you know, they wanted to protect my innocence, but from that there was a lot of fear from it. And I was an atheist as well, so, you know, it was just a black hole. And now, you know, and then my sister passed away, and it was just really presented to me to heal a lot of that, and hence I seek a lot of adrenaline. Well, not as much as you, because I don't know if I could do that, but I love to free dive, and I love the challenge of what free diving does, which is quite a meditative sport in terms of, you know, very similar to skydiving, except for you literally have all the things telling you that you won't be able to hold your breath as long, and so therefore you're going to suffocate and die. So I'm interested to know how you know, if you feel your heart, how do you feel about death?
I feel like I'm good at manifesting, so I try not to think about it. Like, think about the negative things. So like when I skydive, I just think about my parachute opening and landing safely on Mother Earth. Like I obviously know how to deal with situations when they arise. Like there's different types of malfunctions and what to do in this situation. And I think being aware of them is good. But to rehearse in your head, because your body doesn't actually know the difference from rehearsal and doing. So you can rehearse getting better at skydiving and watching videos, and then you can fly better. It's incredible. So I try not to focus too much of my energy on where I don't want to be. So I always just focus where I want to go. When I think about dying, I just feel like one day, I guess it's my energy, I can feel it just absorbing into the universe, and then I feel free. So I don't feel like it's something that I'm terrified of or that I don't want to happen, but I also don't want it to happen because I love living. It's not it's not because I'm scared of death. It's because there's so much more to see, and you know, I'm only halfway through my life or a third of my life, who knows, but I want to see everything. I want to go traveling. I want to meet more people. The amount of people I've met in one night that I know are going to be intertwined with my life forever, like I have so many more connections to make. I'm not even started, you know.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I love that. I really love that.
So it's not that I'm scared, and I think I'm a little bit the opposite. My high school, I went to 10 funerals before I left school. You know, there was a lot of suicide, and it was so sad. And you just, you know, one of my ex-boyfriends fell off a motorbike, and you know, he just died, and it was like fucking. Yeah, I think it's quite confronting because death's so final. Like even my grandma just passed away, and I'm sorry about your sister as well. And it's when somebody that close to you, like they've shaped your whole life. She's been with you your whole life. My grandma's been with me my whole life. And then for them to just to be gone. But I know that I can connect with them spiritually, and I know that they can do far more for you there than they ever could on the earth. So I kind of feel comfort in that as well, I guess.
Yeah, it is very comforting, I think, for people to have that, like when there's just nothing and there's that it's such loss, you know, like I think allowing people to connect into that as a healing journey through grief, and just what I've experienced through clients in that space, like allowing them to reconnect with that person on a different plane, or there's just changing the situations for them, like you said, you know, like because the mind will only hold on to the grief if that's what they're wanting to hold on to, but having a totally different perspective in that. And even working with trauma with police officers and stuff like that, you know, you can't change the trauma or you can't change the loss, but you can change how you are in that connection to it. And I think when we're disconnected and we have nothing, like that's when we feel that hopelessness, and we can feel that grief a lot harder than when we feel connected. And that's, you know, which is kind of what I thought. That's what I hear you say when you were just talking about all of that. Another fun fact too, there's an experiment that they did on the power of the mind, and they got one group of people to do an exercise. They measured the muscle around the finger, must have been a small thing that they used, tweezers or something. Anyway, they measured people's muscle mass in a finger, and then one group had to do like this exercise like every day for a certain amount of time. The next group did nothing, and the third group had to think about doing that exercise. And the group that thought about doing the exercise had the highest gain in muscle mass.
Wow, because they're not tiring their muscle, they're just growing it.
They're just imagining it. I was saying there's so much. I could talk for hours on it, but there's so much about that power of that, of like you said, and one of my favorite sayings is like the mind can only do what the mind's done unless you give it something else to do, right? Because it just is that mechanical space. So we can, and it doesn't know the difference between reality and fiction. So
well, it's the same because I'm a skydive instructor as well, and when I just teach people to skydive by themselves, not tandems. But it's the same thing. You give them like a compliment sandwich. So you tell them something they did well, something they can improve on, and then you finish with what they do well. And you want them to focus on what they're going to do well. Because if you go up going, don't bend your legs, don't bend your legs, don't bend your legs, you're going to bend your legs, you know? It's just what you do.
Well, that's all the mind hears, isn't it?
Don't hit the tree, don't hit the tree, don't hit the tree, you're going to look at the tree. So it's like we just try and reframe the thoughts. And I think that comes back to everyday life as well. So like I do this thing where if a negative thought comes, I say cancel, delete, and then it clears it, and then new thoughts and pathways can come in. Whereas if you just reliving the same thought process in your mind your whole life, sometimes you've been thinking those things your whole life. It's just going to take a while of saying cancel, delete before new things can come in. But if you're telling yourself those things all the time, it's not good. Dr. Mizuru, is it? He's a Japanese guy. Anyway, and he does this water experiment. And it's so amazing. I loved it. Everybody should watch it.
It's a really good way to see it.
Well, yeah, because you put in so much, you only put in an intention into the water and it changes the molecular structure. And we're 70% water. So the way we talk to ourselves is crucial for our development. So everybody should love themselves most first.
Yay, that's beautiful.
What do you want? I mean, you got, like you said, you got so many oodles of things to do in your space and time here whilst on this lovely earth. What do you want? What do you want to inspire people with?
I want to go and talk at schools and inspire young girls or anyone. I remember seeing a sticker when I was 8, and it was like green and purple, and it was women can do anything. And I thought, what a stupid sticker. Of course we can do anything. But, you know, like when people are told that they can't. Like,
for so long, babe.
That might not even be on people's radar yet, you know. And I want to go back to my high school, because it was like a small high school, and be like, look, you too can be a world champion if you put your mind to it. You can do trade, you can do rope access, you can be a school teacher. You know, you don't have to stick to what you know, 'cause I feel like at school, it's like school teacher, they're like all like normal kind of jobs. I
Mm,
didn't even think about skywriters. I lived in the bush. I didn't
Mm.
even think people clean the outside of windows. I would have done that straight away. It's amazing. It's great money. Just having fun with your friends, listening to music. It's great. Like
Mm.
mm,
I wish that I could do that. I really am passionate. I've worked with men my whole life, since I was 17. So I'm really passionate. I've built up. I always thought I was one of the boys, but now I see that I was just building rapport with men so that I could help heal them with the other work that I'm doing. And
mm,
they feel so comfortable talking to me. Like that's what I really want to help men reconnect with themselves. I feel like there's a lot of platforms out there to help women and encourage women and do all of these things. And I think sometimes men don't know where to go or they can't find
mm,
a voice somewhere. So I really want to help them.
Yeah, I love that. I used to say that when I first started doing kinesiology, it was about 15 years ago, and everyone was like women only. And it made me furious. I was not furious, but it made me, I used to say I'm a masculinist, like instead of a feminist, because there's, so many people in that corner, and like a lot of women will probably like be fist pumping the computer right now if they're watching, but like it's just that it's so easy to go us versus them, etc. But I'm like, who's helping them? And I've done like co-facilitated men's retreats and stuff, and women's retreats and mixed retreats, and seeing all angles of it. But I've always had this really strong calling. I mean, I've always felt comfortable around guys. I was a bit of a tomboy when I was younger, so it's easy to relate to them too. But it's like we can't just like hating on people or doing stuff and putting them in a box. It's like they need to heal just as much, if not more. And because of the way it's structured in that, like what men are meant to do and what women are meant to do, and it's changing dramatically, which is really exciting and really quickly. But there's so many. I think for you having that sport behind you as well, and like you said, the trade where you've got a lot of blokes around you, like men really need it, and they're so open to it. They just don't know that they're allowed to do it almost. And so when they have a
Honestly,
safe opportunity, like they open up, and I can tell you right now from my experience with like doing that group work with the men, they get it. And I'm not saying they don't go back into a cycle, but we are so complex in the female mind
so
that it's almost like we can't let something go because we go, yeah, but. And I know that men do as well, but because they've got that point and shoot kind of mind hunter kind of vibe, when you actually tell them or teach them, or they get it themselves and they have that aha moment, it's like they've just got it. Like they don't necessarily have to go back into it. It's like, thanks very much.
yeah, I just like to plant seeds wherever I go. So like, they always talk to me and open up. They used to say I was a shed counsellor when I was a tradie because there was all different trades and everyone would talk to me. My other woman boss, she was like, "God, you like the counsellor?" I was like, "Yeah, I should be getting paid for it." Now I am. But like a year ago, I was talking to the workmate. And then a year later, he rings me because he's having difficulty saying, "I need some help. I need some healing." So you never know when they're going to need it. And you never know when that conversation's going to land. But I would just like to plant seeds wherever I go, and then something will come into fruition. So,
Yeah. And there's no ego in that, right? We've had that conversation before about planting the seed and not needing to be the farmer that waters it and has to see what comes of it.
no, it's
Like
like if you get healing from elsewhere, that's fine. Just get healing. I don't care if it's through me or somebody else. Everybody needs to heal. And it's so powerful. And I want to grow till the day I die. I never want to stop evolving. And that's one of the gripes that a lot of men are like, "I can't change. It's who I am." I'm like, that's a ridiculous statement because I want to change till the day I die. When I stop changing, let me know.
Yeah.
Because it's like, there's so much more to grow and evolve. Like,
There's so much.
Yeah.
I say there's no reason why an 80-year-old can't do a degree.
yeah, for sure. I should go to uni. But
Degree in life, it
You're-
doesn't have to be a real one.
You're just showing us, that the life of, conformity of following what is, because, we get told to, go to university and then, you know, meet someone and then, you know, do those really conditioned behaviors. You know, you're giving that permission for people to go, you know, having, you know, qualified refrigeration mechanic, rope access technician, life coach, massage therapist, Reiki, skydiver instructor. Like, there are so many elements within yourself that you've explored. And I think it's so positive to know that, you know, we are not just one thing. We are so many fucking things.
Yeah, I think it's really important too, because I can make money wherever I go. I go to a boogie and there's a weather day and I pull out my massage table and make $100 that day. You know, like you can set yourself up to make different incomes and then you're not so stressed. Probably the best thing my ex-partner taught me was I used to like work, I was full-time for 10 years, begging for holidays, all this crap. And he was like, oh, there's so much work, don't even worry about it. And and I was like, oh, I would never be like that. And now I am totally like that. I'm just like, since I took up rope access, the minimum I have off a year is 3 months. 1 year I had 8 months off. I'm just like, I'll just float in when I need to work and then I float out and I go skydiving. And it's like the flexibility that rope access has given my life, and the massage, like I can go anywhere and make money with my hands, and it's amazing. Like I just think I'm so blessed to have those things. And the massage was the same. I had a calling, I'm going to be a massage therapist, and I went overseas for 2 years when I was 21 and worked in a bank or something because it was the most paying job. And I came back and did my massage course and then couldn't get clients, so I was begging people. It was like weird. And then my Fridgie boss rang me and said, do you want a job? And then I got stuck there for another 5 years. But it was funny, when you're not available, people want to massages after work and all this stuff. And, you know, the other awesome thing was when I was $50 an hour, nobody really wanted it. It was like, you know, I didn't really value it. I put it up to 80. Now people tip me $100, $120 every time. And you just think, wow. So valuing yourself and knowing what you're worth also magnetizes toward you, I think.
Yeah,
so many great things.
So many life lessons in this podcast. I thought you were just going to be like,
sorry, I didn't want to preach.
No,
I love it.
We're preachers.
This is great. I mean, this is why we do this, is because we want to inspire people, you know, to think beyond their current self. This is why we're doing this, and we love that you're on here. And thank you so much for spreading that message with us. I really love what you do, and I absolutely feel like skydiving would be such a reminder of the beauty of life in every time you jump. And I think that is just such a fucking gift, and I commend you for showing up and doing it all the time. Thank you so much. We're going to include all your tags so people can start following you and keep up to date with your journey and where you're going and what you're doing. And until then, thank you. And do
you have any final things you'd like to say?
Just thanks for having me. I love the opportunity to share whatever I can. So thank you.
Thank you, darling.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. And until next time, stay tuned, follow us, like us, subscribe if you want to hear and keep up to date with all our awesome stuff and inspiring you to your next level of self. This is the channel. Until then, hasta la vista.
Thanks, Dee.
Thank you. Bye.